I'm thrilled to welcome my guest, Brett Gunning. Brett is a former NBA assistant coach with 26 years of experience at the college and professional levels. And he's coached with teams like the Houston Rockets. He's also the founder of a nonprofit called On the Right Path. On the Right Path, a nonprofit dedicated to helping youngsters with basketball mentorship and character development. I got very intrigued by this because in homeschooling, we are all about character development and curriculum. And Brett Gunning here has some amazing tools and books and curriculum for us to look at. Welcome to the Homeschool Ways podcast.
Great to be here. Look forward to our conversation.
So let's start with the beginning. What inspired you to write children's books after 26 years in basketball?
It was all God. If I'm being honest, I was sitting on my couch during COVID, and I was reading a book to my 3-year-old son at the time, and it was an amazing children's book about a dinosaur, and by the time I closed the book, I was like, wow, that literally just taught my son how to be a better friend at the park. And God kind of put in my spirit, like, I want you to do the same thing using the game of basketball. So that kind of started the journey. I had a nephew of mine who was good friends with an author, a writer, a publisher, and he connected the two of us, and that it kind of went from there. Where I just thought, for kids, they love sports. Whether it's basketball or any sport, it's not just basketball. And I thought, wow, what a great way to, if my son can learn how to be a better friend through a dinosaur at the park, he can learn how to be a better person using the game of basketball. And that we use that kind of foundation for trying to tell our stories.
I have to tell you this. I'm not into basketball that much. I'm more of a tennis fan myself. But I've heard of some of the people on your curriculum on your website, and we're going to get there. And I was surprised as I was diving through all your curriculum. I was surprised to find out that basketball is the most played sport in the United States. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, probably the sport that's most played in the world is soccer, with basketball being second, I believe, in the world. But in the United States, obviously, soccer is popular, just not as popular as basketball. So yeah, again, I was very fortunate to be a part of the game for pretty much my whole life, and I think it's a great sport that where you can learn a lot of lessons related to life, but teamwork and you mentioned tennis. I mean, tennis is a great sport, but a lot of times it's just one person, whereas basketball, it's up to, if you're on a team, you could be talking about 10 to 12 other people, that you have to learn to either interact with or support. Let's say you're on the bench and you don't play a lot. Well, you've got to learn how to support your teammates. Or let's say you play a lot and there's people that don't play a lot. So there's a lot of great lessons to be learned through a team sport, whether that's football or baseball or in this case basketball.
Right. And so you sort of teamed up, speaking of teamwork, with Stacy Padula. Tell us more about this award-winning author.
Yeah, so she's the person that my nephew had introduced us to. She's based out of Massachusetts, and again, she's a writer. She also has her own publishing company, so she's a one-stop shop. But I really just like the humility that she goes about with her work and her projects, and she loved the connection of tying in a sport with a life lesson, and then the underlying kind of Christian component where we bring in a Bible verse as well. But she she does more stuff involved with teen. She writes books more for the age group of teenagers. So this was kind of her first project where it was for younger kids. But she was excited, and we had a blast with the project. Obviously completed now the 6 book series that we started. With this vision of doing.
Right. And so there are 6 books and there are 6 core life skill pillars, is what I read on your website. So let's talk a little bit about the values that you guys are weaving through these lessons.
Yeah, we weave in the just the simple life skill of being unselfish, of thinking of others. I think if you understand that at a young age, to think of others first, that's a lesson that can last for your lifetime. And we use an example where they learn they basically learn a lesson each day at camp, and then we try to tie in the lesson they learned to an everyday experience in their life. So when camp ends, the kids are going home. It takes place in New York City, and they're walking home, and they stop to get some pizza. And it winds up where they're eating the pizza, and there's one slice left. And one of them makes the comment of like, "Hey, do you want the last slice? Remember Coach taught us about thinking of others first." So again, we try to use a simple concept, and then try to tie it into their everyday life. And again, I think to do it through a sport where it's something fun that they enjoy doing, and then they can learn a lesson from it. It's I think it's a great way to teach younger kids simple life skills.
Yes, yes. And so the series has received fantastic endorsements like from Pastor Joel Osteen. And tell us more about your friendship with him and how he came to learn about the books.
So I got to know Pastor Joel during when I first moved to Houston, and I was coaching with the Rockets. He is a diehard basketball fan. He loves to play basketball. I believe he still plays to this day. Pick up with his buddies, and so we met, and we just developed a friendship over the years. And when he heard about this project, he was very supportive, and thought it was great, a great way again to tie in life with basketball, with the to show kids how that's all rooted. All of these concepts are rooted in biblical principles, and he was excited to endorse the project.
Yes, wonderful. So we're gonna get back into the show pretty soon, but I am recording this in January, and I want to ask my audience, are you organized for 2026? Do you feel organized for 2026? Have you plugged in all your dates? Have you put in all your curriculum that you still need to get for the second semester? Have you started the second semester? If not, I invite you to go to my blog, homeschoolways.com/organized. I have several resources over there for weekly schedules, for getting organized in 1 hour, and guiding questions. Because let's face it, we're all different. Every homeschool is different. This is why we do it, to tailor our life and our lifestyle to our children. And so the guiding questions will help you decide which way to go. No judgment, just helping you decide for yourself how to schedule. So again, my website is homeschoolways.com/organized. That's where you will find all these resources. And let's get back to the show. Beyond the books that Brett Gunning has written, there is a website on therightpath.org that is amazing. I spent like an hour on it. And again, I'm not a basketball fan, but I was just fascinated. So tell us more about this website and what people, parents, coaches, children can find there.
Yeah, so I was inspired by obviously the great different teaching websites out there, and I thought, wow, what a great idea if we could create a website, kind of a home base for kids where they could learn not only about the history of the game, but also learn and hear from current players or former players about their thoughts on a lot of these different life skills. Because we all know, as we when we talk to our kids as parents or coaches, it's one thing, but it's another thing when they're hearing someone like Kobe Bryant talk about discipline, or Stephen Curry talking about humility. It rings a little different. So we created a great teaching website for kids, as you mentioned. Once you go to our website, if you click on the tab that says Our Classroom, that they will be led to a number of resources, all for free. I feel very fortunate to have had the journey that I had, and I just felt like it was a way that I could give back to, number one, the game of basketball, but just all the blessings that I have been fortunate to see along the way. So I think parents will be excited. There's actually a whole section called the Parent Zone where they can go and they can, hear just different thoughts. We're not trying to step in and replace the role of parents or coaches or teachers. It's more simply a home base of resources where parents can use it to their advantage. A lot of times I'll use one of those simple clips to sit down with my children, and I think a lot of times, like, just one clip, there's a power in showing kids one clip where they can hear something from maybe someone they look up to, and it winds up impacting their life. So again, coaches can find a whole section there. We have that title. It's called Coach's Corner, and there's just a number of, again, free resources for everyone to use to their advantage.
Yes, and I will say this. Sometimes I speak at local homeschool conferences, and it's all homeschooling, right? But I will have some parenting resources for them, and I will say, "Hey, this is a homeschool seminar, but I know that, but would you like some free parenting resources?" Everybody needs a little bit of help parenting, right? Homeschooling is parenting. Everybody that has children in any kind of school is, first of all, a parent. And so I say, is it okay for me to share some parenting resources? And all the hands go up.
Right,
And so
right.
I have a slide only with parenting resources. I was very excited to see your website. And again, just to describe for our audience, there are little clips, I want to say 30 seconds to 60 seconds, from Kobe Bryant and other very famous basketball players sharing values, lessons, and how they apply from basketball to life. And I was just so touched, just hearing these lessons and um, specific incidents from my life, from my interaction with my kids, would come to mind when I would hear him say something like, yeah, that's like that day when this happened. And so, even if it's retrospect, for you to go through these quick little parenting tips and to realize, oh, okay, he's just reinforcing what I'm already doing. Or, oh, I didn't do it this way. I wonder if this is something, like you said, there's no judgment. We're not trying to replace anybody's parenting or coaching, but we're trying to help give tools to parents who are looking, or who maybe not even know that they're looking, to parent their children, to guide their children. Like you said, kids can find a zone there, the coaches have a zone, and then the parents. Now, is there any way they can purchase the books from this website, or do they need to go to Amazon?
So we do provide the links that would take them right to Amazon, but that is the one place that Amazon and Barnes and Noble, the children's books would be found at both of those spots.
So we're talking about a book series, 6 volumes, and it's for ages 3 through 8.
Yeah, as that can vary, but I think what I found as we developed the series and my kids were kind of going through those ages, I think if someone were to look at the series as like at first it's an opportunity to kind of read a book to your child, right? We're all looking for, as I was, I was reading a book to my child, a dinosaur book. Well, okay, here's a great basketball book to read to your child at the early stages when they can understand, simple thoughts and simple concepts. And then we kind of get to the point where how cool would it be if by the time they start to read on their own, they're now able to read a book like this back to you. So that's why we use that kind of age group. But could it be read to someone younger? Maybe could someone older read it? But in that group of in that age group of 3 to 8, I think is a good resting place.
Right. And I know we have to sort of give a certain reading level and audience level for our book products. But like you said, my audience is homeschool parents, and they're going to have a preschooler, they're going to have a seventh grader, and everything in between. So, and I like that. So first you start out by reading to them, then they can read it back to you. The older kids can read it to the younger kids. There are many ways to interact with these books. So available on Amazon and at Barnes and Noble and on your website. Again, your website is
On the right path.org. So we try to keep it nice and clean and simple for people to remember.
very easy to remember. On the right path. Yes, we all want to set our kids on the right path. Brett Gunning, thank you so much for coming to the Homeschool Ways podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.